Hello and welcome to Chalk It Up. We're starting 2026 on Sports Talk Florida with a brand new snooker podcast. And just as the new year starts, we have the 2026 Masters. For those of you that don't know, the Masters is one of three tournaments that are considered the triple crown of the snooker calendar. That goes alongside last month's UK Championship, which was won by Mark Selby, and the up-and-coming World Championship that'll run from April into the May bank holiday in the UK, which also closes off the season each year. Now, I was going to go in with the breakdown of the draw, my thoughts on who would win the first rounds, but big news obviously came through yesterday. As he had last year, Ronnie O'Sullivan has pulled out of the tournament. Chris Wakelin will go in his place, but sort of a big shock, but also not, because Ronnie has pulled out of multiple tournaments over the last year, citing various reasons. He's moved over to the Middle East. He's pursuing a career in snooker over there, so he's picking and choosing his tournaments. He's also obviously cited mental health reasons and fatigue, as well as sort of the schedule itself. So obviously we hope to see him back at some point before the season closes. A massive loss to the tournament, as he always would be. But great news, I suppose, for Chris Wakelin, who just got that phone call and is now hopping over to the Alexander Palace to take part in the first round. I will start off with the draw now. The first match, as always, it's sort of customary for the defending champion to start. The defending champion is Shaun Murphy, and he will be playing against Wu Yizhu tomorrow at 1 p.m. Shaun Murphy has been in great form. It's a pretty decent season for him. He probably would have wanted to get a couple of more titles, but obviously defending champion here. He won the British Open and then made the Xi'an final as well. He's been putting in some solid performances, but hasn't sort of hit the same peak as he maybe would have last year when he claimed the title. He has two Masters titles, so it's familiar ground to him. He's felt victory twice before. I suppose the Wu Yizhu, he's a tournament debutant, one of two this year, and he probably hasn't reached the sort of, he's still quite young, but hasn't reached the sort of scale as expected of him. Obviously, there's a draft of Chinese players coming through that are doing amazing for the sport, and it's absolutely massive over there. But he sort of hasn't really reached that sort of ceiling or got near to it. He has won a title this year. It's the International Championship he won. His form's been inconsistent, but he has made two ranking finals last season as well. So someone to look forward to watching. But for this one, I can't predict anything other than Shaun Murphy winning. The next match then tomorrow is Mark Selby against Zhao Guodong. Now, Mark Selby is 3 times Master winner, and bar Ronnie O'Sullivan, Stephen Hendry and Steve Davis, he's fourth on the list of the all-time Triple Crown winners. He's got 10, recently securing the UK Championship last month, of course, to go along with his World Championships and Masters titles. So he's looking in hot form. He has won 2 titles this year, and won them quite convincingly as well. He's been in pretty hot form. Now, the weird anomaly of snooker is a lot of you will know that players have a long shelf life compared to other sports. So he last won the Masters in 2013, so 12 years ago. But he's still going strong. He's had a couple of off seasons, as he would say himself. He struggled for form, but he's looking back to a decent, very decent level. If he can even go one further, he's practically unbeatable, because he has got that sort of granite game that he can sort of be 5 frames behind and then just start reeling them off, and before the opponent notices it, he's grind them down. And I always expect a battle with him, but a battle may not be given by Zhao Guodong. He is again making a tournament debut. Hasn't really, again, lived up to the potential that we thought but he has won back-to-back Wuhan titles last year and, of course, defended it this year. So we will keep an eye on him. But for this one, I would say it's a banker that Mark Selby's going to win it. But who knows? I'm going to go down the bracket then. So we have Neil Robertson and Chris Wakelin, of course, who has stepped in for Ronnie O'Sullivan. I'll go Chris Wakelin first because Chris Wakelin's his second Masters appearance. So, like, quite a late bloomer. He has played himself into form over the last sort of season and a half. He won the Scottish Open this year, which is absolutely fantastic. Quarterfinalist of last year's World Championships. So, he's ended the year with the cruise and then has followed up with winning a ranking tournament. I don't see him beating Neil Robertson, but I really hope that he puts up a strong performance. Neil Robertson is, of course, the Thunder from Down Under, as he's known, and he is a brilliant player. He's had off seasons, as like a lot of the top players. He's struggled for form over a couple of seasons, but seems to have sort of found his way again. Of course, again, winning the Masters twice before. He is well known to the Ali Pali crowd. Firm favourite, and he's the only non-UK player to win all of the Triple Crown events. So he's won the World's, UK Championship and the Masters. If he can string his form together over the course of a week, it'll be hard to beat. And in fact, I sort of tipped him. I don't know wisely or not, but I feel like he might win it again this year. But we'll review that later on in the week once the first round's over and the quarterfinals are lined up. I have made predictions before in various sports and rarely ever get it right. I'd say maybe 10% of the time, so like don't be rushing off to the bookies and placing anything on me. But I have a good feeling about Neil Robertson this year. I think he's looking, even when he's lost, he's sort of done it in the right way. He had bemoaned a lot of his defeats in previous years, so this season he seems to be a lot more focused, a lot more tunnel vision with his game, and it'll only help him. And he's my tip, but again, let's just wait until the quarterfinals to see if my tip means anything. If he is the win or Chris Wakelin's the win, they'll be playing either Kyron Wilson or Zhejiang Wang. Now, Kyron Wilson, former world championship winner, of course, made last year's final, but lost out to Sean Murphy, of course. He has struggled for form this year. It's well documented that Kyron has had a lot of family issues in the last year. He's spoken quite openly about it in the press, spoke to myself about it actually during the Northern Irish Open last October. But things have turned a corner. His wife's health is much better, and I think we'll start seeing a better game from him. I don't know if this is too soon, but I think with the focus fully on snooker now, he's a formidable player, and I really hope he gets back to that sort of level again, because he's a fantastic player, a great person, and the sport needs players like that, really. He's fast, he's direct, he doesn't like to sit around. He's good when it has to come to sort of safety exchanges, but when he's in free flow, that's when he works best. Zhejiang Wang is knocked out last year in the first round, so it's only his second appearance. We can't really say much about him in the form of the Masters, but he's up and coming, but I feel Kyron will get through that one. Now, the next set of matches in the lower bracket, Judd Trump, the ace in the pack, will be playing Ding Junhui. I would have said a few years ago this would have had the potential for being the blockbuster match of the round, and I think when you see it on paper, it probably is one of the rounds. But I just feel like Judd Trump he's been knocking the door. He hasn't won a title this season to date, but he's been knocking the door so much. Couple of final appearances, just come up the wrong side. But there's no one, when Ronnie's out of the picture, there's no one more natural talent for the game than Judd Trump. He's lightning quick, really just gets in amongst the balls and will produce fantastic breaks. Speedy player, the crowd love him. I think now, again, with Ronnie not in the tournament, he will be a big favourite. So And again, he's a Triple Crown winner as well. So he's part of that elite crew and knows his way around the Masters table and has won it twice before by part of his 5 Triple Crowns. So I'd say he's a clear favourite. I really would like to see Ding Junhui get back to the form that he showed. It feels like it was probably a decade ago now, but he's had good results and good wins, obviously, over the last few years as well. But he was the sort of initial flow when it came to, he was sort of like I suppose he's the sort of like grandpa of Chinese snooker now, but he's a fantastic player. Would love to see him do well again, but I think again, Judd Trump's he's in too much hot form. Even if he's not won tournaments, he's still reaching the ends of them, playing brilliant, and I think that will hold him in good stead. Whoever wins that one will play the winner of what I think will be the blockbuster match for a couple of different reasons. Mark Williams, the legend that is, part of the class of 92, as they call it in snooker, with John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan, all going strong in their 50s. But Mark Williams will be playing Mark Allen, Northern Irish hopeful, and former Masters winner as well. So Mark Allen, I think, will win this match. Now, when you play their styles up against each other, Mark Williams is more fluid when he's in amongst the balls. Doesn't like safety, really doesn't like safety, but he's still adept at it, obviously, like all top players are. Mark Allen seems to really love dragging games out. I don't think anyone will contradict me on that. He won the English Open this year, and I think the match went on for, it felt like 2 months, but it was definitely going on to the little hours of the morning. All his matches that he seems to be winning consecutively are a grind. They're not brilliant to watch. He was in the Northern Irish Open. I was down watching a couple of his matches, and like turgid would be a word. Like I love him, but the play was quite turgid. It was quite slow, really, really overly analytical of his game, I think, at the minute. I think when he started, he was fast. When he won his Masters, he was playing speedy, fast, brilliant snooker. But he seems to have changed tact, and it's probably something because he has never won the World Championship, and he's often listed as one of the better active players, if not the best active player not to win one yet. So he may have tried to change his game for the long format of the World Championship, and I guess maybe in these shorter form tournaments like the Masters, to win it you have to win 10 frames over a day, as opposed to maybe some matches going over 2 days in the World Championships. But it's just, he seems to have suffered a little bit in regards to that. Maybe just being a bit too ponderous, trying to drag out games, wear down the opponent, as opposed to playing to his own strengths. But I think if he does that against Mark Williams, he's got no chance, because Mark Williams will just knock a ball, even if he has a 10% chance, 5% chance of getting out of his snooker. I think most of the time he'd rather just play it. So if Mark Williams shows up on form, I think Mark will win. But I think Mark Williams will win, but I think Mark Allen will get through this one. But all eyes open, it probably will be a long one. I'll go Mark Allen with that one. And to close off the brackets, we have John Higgins against Barry Hawkins. So Barry Hawkins, sort of like one of the sort of elder statesmen of the game, not massively successful, especially compared to John Higgins, who we'll get onto in a second. But he's the Masters runner-up. He has reached the final here at Alexander Palace before, but I mean, he's had a wishy-washy couple of seasons, really, not really showing any form. I think he sort of needs to win. He needs to go far in a couple of more tournaments. Not this one, obviously, because the Masters is a non-ranking, just an invitational tournament. But I think he'll need a couple of decent runs in other tournaments. Otherwise, it will suffer. I think he may lose his top 16 place if he doesn't. But again, he's a good player if things are falling his way, but I think it's sort of fallen to the wayside in the last year or two. And up against John Higgins, who at 50 years old is still absolutely flying. Just a joy to watch. I watched him at the Northern Irish Open. He fell a bit short in the tournament, but still is able to like run up decent runs of frames, pick up great scores. He doesn't look at an opponent; he looks at himself. I chatted to him after one of his matches in Northern Irish Open, and he says he just focuses on himself so much now. He went through sort of a moment of reflection when he turned 50 and said, "Is this really for me anymore?" He decided it was, but I think that's given him sort of a bit more impetus. Where he's one of the, like, along with Mark Williams, they often comment about the traveling involved at the age they are. Is it worth it? But I think turning 50, having a chat with his family about his long-term future in the game, he sort of decided, look, as long as I've got passion for it, I'll keep on going. And thank goodness for the fans and for everybody watching, because he's a great player. A part of that Triple Crown. He's won 9 total. I think I don't see him as winning it this year. I do see him getting far though. So if he gets past this first hurdle against Barry Hawkins, we'll chat about that later on in the week. But we'll see how he does against Barry Hawkins. But fingers crossed, he's still in the game for a while. He's a fantastic player to watch, and he does a great interview as well. Final match, of course. So the winners of Higgins and Hawkins will, the winner of that will play either Gary Wilson or Zhao Xintong. Zhao Xintong is the first Asian winner of the World Championship, which he won last year. A fantastic achievement. It's something that everybody thought Ding Junhui would win years ago, but he never did. And then last year, this fantastic player got over the line. Just absolutely scintillating to watch. But I think, like a lot of players that hit that like sort of peak, that milestone of first world title, his form has dipped off a bit in the months since the new season started, and he's sort of trying to recapture that. But he won the Riyadh Season Championship there in November, so maybe that'll give him a kickstart that he needs. And yeah, he's a fantastic player to watch. Just watch some of his clips on YouTube, or if you get a stream or are able to watch it live on BBC, then he's absolutely phenomenal. Just such a player. He'll be playing Gary Wilson. Gary Wilson ranked 16th seed for the tournament. Gary Wilson is a sort of very late bloomer to the game. Didn't really do much in his 20s and 30s. He's first round. I think it's 2 first rounds. He's in his previous 2, this is his third appearance, so 2 previous first round defeats. So he hasn't exactly lit up the Ali Pali as well, but I guess it's because you have to be ranked in the top 16 to then to be automatically given a spot in the tournament. So we'll see how he goes. I can't see anything other than Xintong winning. But you never know. Like snooker, like all sports, bring up masses of surprises. So we'll see about that when it comes to it. But I have my sort of predictions for quarters through, but I'll leave it until, because like I could say in each of these 8 matches who will win, and I've sort of given it there. And then I've got my path from the quarterfinals to semis to final, but I'll see if I've got like even 1 out of 8 before going any further with that. But I just wanted to start off this new snooker podcast by doing a little preview. Masters is a fantastic tournament and fantastic venue. A lot of snooker venues are quite sort of reserved. So if you watch the World Championship, it's like in a small amphitheater. It's there's always discussions about moving it on. Barry Hearn, the chairman, for years wanted to move to a bigger venue. It probably will eventually happen, especially now that the Saudi money is coming into snooker a lot more, and it's like most sports, is going to start having its say. The money will eventually turn into, we want A, B, and C. Otherwise, we will take off ka-chings, basically. But so a lot of venues would be more sort of quiet atmosphere, sort of respectful in a way. It's obviously the way the sport moves. It involves a lot of silence, but the Alexander Palace crowd, I would say, up there with the Belfast Waterfront Hall for the Northern Irish Open, not being biased at all there. But the two of the greatest venues for just crowd atmosphere, participation, and just noise, basically. But yeah, it's I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic tournament. I will be back later in the week after the first rounds are done, and I will be writing for Sports Talk Florida as well. So I'll be doing daily updates on the first round matches, whilst I see all my predicted players fall to the wayside. And we'll see what it looks like when I have to completely rejig my quarterfinal lineup and go from there later on the week. So I'll probably be back on Wednesday, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Don't forget to follow Sports Talk Florida on X. You can see the banner running there, and sportstalkflorida.com for all your snooker and sports updates. Thank you very much and take care.